You know that intense, almost physical resistance you feel when you absolutely know you need to do something difficult, but you just can't seem to make yourself do it? We've all been there. It's that universal struggle of procrastination. Honestly, it feels like a constant uphill fight against our own minds. Well, in today's explainer, we're going to unpack exactly how to override that resistance, force our brains to literally crave doing hard things, and completely change our relationship with discomfort.
So why is it so hard to do hard things? It's kind of the ultimate question, right? You set a goal, you make a solid plan, and yet, the exact moment it's time to execute, boom, a massive wall of friction just appears out of nowhere. Every single time we try to act, our own mind fights us. And here's the thing, it's not a lack of desire on your part. It's actually a structural pushback from within. Let's look at the underlying mechanics of why this happens, and more importantly, how we can break that cycle once and for all.
This source material hits us with a fascinating and maybe slightly brutal biological truth here. It says your brain is not your friend. It's trying to protect you. See, your brain isn't fundamentally wired to help you crush your modern ambitious goals. Not at all. According to the research, it's just trying to keep you safe. And how does it do that? By trying to keep you soft, scared, and silent. It's all about basic primitive survival. Your brain wants to conserve energy and avoid anything that looks even remotely like a threat or requires heavy exertion. You know, like hitting the snooze button for the 5th time instead of hitting the pavement for that early morning run.
Which brings us to our first major concept, the survival trap, built to break you.
Because the brain's sole focus is survival, it actively views the discomfort of progress as a danger. And we all know exactly what this survival trap sounds like, don't we? It's that subtle, super persuasive inner voice. Don't go to the gym. You worked hard today. Just rest. Or, oh, the absolute classic, one more scroll won't hurt. We've all been there. The brain is basically a master negotiator, constantly tempting us into taking the easy way out. It sells us comfort, but it masks it as necessary rest or harmless distraction. And in those tiny moments of hesitation, we're facing a really stark reality. On one side, you have the easy way, but obeying that comfortable voice comes with a heavy, heavy cost. It builds watchers, consumers, dreamers who never actually move. The longer you listen to it, the more you just become a captive to your own mind. But then, on the other side, we have the hard way. And the hard way, that's what builds warriors. It builds people who are actually capable of executing their vision in the real world.
Let's move on to section 2, making pain your fuel, redefining the enemy.
How exactly do we cross over from being a dreamer to a warrior? Well, it requires a massive psychological pivot. Most people think pain or discomfort is the enemy, right? But our source material frames it entirely differently. Pain isn't the enemy at all. Pain is the currency. It is literally the currency you pay for growth, for power, for clarity, and for strength. If you want those outcomes, you've got to hand over the required currency. It's the mandatory price of admission for any real personal transformation.
So how do we actually apply this in real life? We need a brand new reflex to break that loop of comfort. Whenever that super familiar thought creeps in, I don't feel like it, you have to consciously flip the script. Your new automatic response has to be, good, that means I must. Actually, let me repeat that because it's so critical. I don't feel like it becomes good, that means I must. When you don't feel like doing it, that is the exact indicator that you need to do it. This is how you start reprogramming the brain's signals, shifting from avoiding discomfort to straight up attacking it.
This mindset shift completely changes the game. Pain and discomfort stop being these red warning signs telling you to back away. Instead, pain becomes the trigger telling you to engage. You literally stop chasing comfort and start actively chasing resistance. You begin to understand that the friction you're feeling, it's pointing you in the exact direction you need to go.
All right, section 3, the 3-second kill switch. Action kills overthinking.
Knowing you need to act is one thing, but actually getting up and moving, that's a whole different ballgame. This is where we introduce a purely mechanical concept. You have exactly 3 seconds. 3! That is your entire window of opportunity. It's this incredibly brief, fleeting moment before your brain's survival instinct completely kicks over and starts generating a dozen perfectly logical excuses for why you should just stay comfortable. If you do not act within this flashing 3-second countdown, let's be real, the odds are you're never going to act at all. Action is absolutely the only thing that kills overthinking.
So here is the strict mechanical application of this rule. Step 1, you feel the doubt. Say you wake up early, the bed is super warm, or you're staring at a heavy workout and you just feel that wall of resistance. Step 2, you immediately start the countdown. 3, 2, 1. Step 3, move. That's it. No thoughts allowed, zero negotiation, just pure physical movement.
This countdown acts as a literal kill switch for your internal dialogue.
The source frames this perfectly. Hesitation is the enemy of transformation. Think about it. The longer you sit there thinking about the hard thing, the heavier it gets, right? Pure, unthinking action, driven by that 3-second rule, is absolutely the only way to bypass your brain's protective mechanisms and kill overthinking before it totally paralyzes you.
Moving into Section 4, Daily War Mode, the Discomfort Ritual.
To make this a permanent part of who you are, we really need an overarching daily strategy. Look, you don't need some complex 50-step morning routine that takes 3 hours. What you need is an aggressive, highly focused protocol. Here are some very specific tactics derived straight from the source material. Think of these as small acts of war against your own complacency. Taking a freezing cold shower, dropping down to do 100 push-ups, locking yourself in for 30 minutes of uninterrupted deep work, forcing yourself to speak up in a meeting when you're terrified, or waking up before the sun even rises. You see, you aren't doing these just for the physical or productivity benefits. Each one is a deliberate punch right to your own weakness.
The real purpose behind these daily acts of war is absolutely crucial to understand. Your goal when stepping into a cold shower or starting a tough task is not to magically feel ready. Honestly, waiting to feel ready is a massive trap. Your goal is simply to act and to keep acting until your brain realizes that you are in charge, shuts up, and just follows your lead. You are quite literally training your brain to submit to your will, totally regardless of how uncomfortable it feels. And finally, Section 5. Become the machine, rewiring your identity.
All of this builds to a truly profound psychological shift, deciding exactly who you are first so that your actions naturally follow. Real warriors don't wait to feel motivated or disciplined before they act. To take ultimate control, you have to consciously reject your old identity. The source actually suggests using this exact phrasing to reframe your past behavior. I'm not lazy, I just trained myself to avoid pain. But that ends today. It's powerful, right? It totally removes the shame, it recognizes that biological survival trap we talked about earlier, and it draws a hard, undeniable line in the sand for your future.
Because ultimately, there's a massive difference between just completing a task and actually becoming a machine. If your goal is just to finish a chore, you're always going to have to rely on fleeting willpower. But the ultimate goal presented in this explainer is to fundamentally rewire who you are, to forge an identity that doesn't just survive under pressure, but actively thrives on it. You are reprogramming yourself to be someone whose default setting is doing the hard things.
You know, you've obeyed that comfortable, scared voice in your brain for long enough, so we're going to leave you with this intense, pretty provocative challenge drawn straight from the source material. Will that old, comfort-seeking version of you die today? The choice is entirely yours. But remember, the clock is already ticking. 3, 2, 1. Go do something hard.